The opinions expressed in this show are the views of the host and not necessarily that of WTRW, 94.3 The Talker, or the Bold Gold Media Group.
The following presentation is brought to you by the host of the program, who is solely responsible for its content.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Make a Change. I'm your host, Terry Martin, along with my producer, Tom Jenkins.
Good afternoon, Terry. How are you?
Very good. It's just you and me today.
Just you and I?
Yes.
I was wondering why nobody followed you into the studio.
Well, today we're going to be talking about exchanging habits.
Exchanging habits.
Yes.
Now, this is Make a Change, and normally we're talking about making changes, whether it be weight loss or mental changes or spiritual changes or financial changes or family changes. And we've talked about all of those things. Today is exchanging.
Yes. And I want to be able to try to encourage someone, even if it is just one person listening today, that decides to take that step and make the needed change they have been so desperately trying to make. We would love to hear from you. We all have good habits and we all have bad habits, and supposedly it takes 30 days to form or to break any kind of a habit.
Now, see, I've heard 90 days.
Oh, I could see that.
You know, especially for thick-headed people like me, it would take at least 90 days of doing the same thing consciously over and over and over again to get that new habit.
Maybe it's something like that P90X that when we talked about on a different show about the weight loss, 21 days, the program they have.
Okay.
Well, I started that, but yet it isn't enough for 21 days. So I'm just going 21, 21, 21, and I'm just keeping
doing it over and over
with
again.
it. Maybe it's an easy way to look at it if you break it down into that time frame. But we are always talking about wanting to make changes. And what that mainly means is exchanging something bad for something good.
Almost like a substitute?
Yes.
Okay.
Just pick something new up and let the old go. Many of us would like to get rid of those bad habits, but somehow, even with those New Year's resolutions, we promised ourselves we would keep year after year. We just can't seem to get rid of them for keeps.
Boy, do we lie to ourselves a lot.
You know, why? We have every intention, but in no time at all, before you know it, we fail.
That's a great question. Why do we do that over and over and over again?
Human nature. However, I've been giving this very much thought, and I want to tell the listening audience some interesting statistics I found out through research and from the School of Hard Knocks that I myself have gone through, and I'm sure you've gone through many.
And if you want to hear some of those experiences from Terry's School of Hard Knocks, we've got all of the shows archived. I'm sure you can go to Terry's webpage, MederiClinicals.com, and be able to click through and hear a lot of those stories.
And again, just what you just said, now that I'm at my age, I can look back and sift through the habits I wanted to change. But I can see the ones I succeeded in and the ones I failed in, and I can tell you exactly why the directions went the way they did. Either way, if I failed, it was because the doubt and fear started sinking in. And if you think too hard and give it a second thought, you will sink. Immediately just say to yourself, if I start to say, I can't do this, or just skipping one day will be okay, then that's the beginning of the end.
You know, that is perfect. I'm actually going through something like that at this moment. Well, not right this second, but in my life. And it's something as simple as flossing in the morning. You know, I brush my teeth in the morning and in the evening, and then I try to floss. Again, there it is. Try to. You know,
Right,
5 or 6 months ago, I forced myself consciously, okay, as soon as I put the toothbrush down, grab the dental floss. And I put it right there so I don't forget. And I'd floss, and I'd floss, and I'd floss. Well, I just had my dentist appointment last week, and came back with flying colors. Thank you very much. Teeth are great. Gums are awesome.
Excellent.
No bleeding. And that was on Thursday, I believe, of last week. And Friday, I brushed my teeth in the morning, and I'm like, I'm good. I got 3 more months.
Dentist appointment's over.
I could skip the floss for today. And then my mind immediately went, if you skip today, you're going to skip tomorrow, and you're going to keep on skipping. I'm like, no, I won't. No, I won't. No, I won't. And 3 days later, I'm like, I have not flossed in 3 days. Get back into the habit again.
Well, I discovered why just wanting to change and by saying, I will do it this time, still just doesn't seem to be enough to make the changes stick. And before you know it, once again, I would fail at the attempt. Bottom line, apparently, when that happens, we haven't sold ourselves on the idea enough, or we could and we would do it. In other words, you won't execute what you don't believe, and the mind overrules every time.
You won't execute what you don't believe.
Right? It has to sink in. It just can't be superficial.
So if you have any doubt, any reservations, any lurking notion that maybe it won't work, or I'll do it later, or whatever, you have to be, it sounds to me like you're saying you have to be 100% in.
Mm-hmm. So what can help us? I feel we need to look at all the reasons that we fail first. Unknowingly, we have set ourselves up for failure, and I will give some examples that seem harmless, but they aren't.
I can't wait to hear this.
We may not see how we have been conditioning ourselves so that it is next to impossible to change. Maybe with a new way of thinking, we can break the curse of not really doing what we want to do. Because of my business, which is Mederi Clinicals, I am going to use some of the examples I have learned about skin and nature. And yes, men, I think you will like the way this information will come together in the end. So please hang in there. According to Nina Jablonski, an anthropologist, she said, our skin reflects our state of health and much of what we want the world to know about us. Human beings are programmed to be attracted to individuals who best reflect inner health through outer beauty. We may not like this, but it is what it is. Valuing beauty is an essential part of human nature, our Darwinian struggle for survival. And this reminds me of the saying, survival of the fittest. Like in the wild with animals, we were talking about that a little while ago, about the animals, and you were saying how the male...
Yeah, the humans... it's the female that's always primming and prepping and trying to look pretty and to attract the male. Mm-hmm. But in the wild, it's the opposite. It's the males. I mean, birds are a perfect example of this. You know, the most colorful bird, cardinals. I would think I was giving. Actually, let's use mallards. Mm-hmm. Mallard ducks. You know, you'll see two ducks. One is a brilliant green, beautiful green head. You know, gorgeous colors on the back, and then there's the one that's with them is kind of like a drab brown and bleh. Well, the drab brown is the female.
I wonder why we have to struggle so hard as women.
I don't know.
Because when you age, you get so distinguished men.
My wife has the exact same I don't know. I have no idea. But she has the exact same complaint. And she always talks about Sean Connery.
Right.
How he just keeps getting better as he keeps getting older.
Yeah, how could that be?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, the strongest and the most fit, when we talk about the animals, actually us too, are the ones who survive. But even the lions fight it out to see who will be the king lion. And people do the same, whether it is in business or for their mate. And speaking of a mate, a British zoologist, Desmond Morris, claimed that evolutionarily, the most universally desirable and attractive female among humans.
Among humans, because it's the female that has to be attractive.
Yes. So what would you think that it would be for men, their opinion of?
When I was younger, and I guess you could say in my prime, as I use the air quotes, I always thought, blondes, oh my gosh, I love blondes. But for some reason, I only dated brunettes. Mm-hmm. I mean, my current wife, dark, thick, black, dark hair. Mm-hmm. But I always thought it was blondes. I always thought it was the hourglass figure. It was the...
Sounds like that country western show where the singer said that the woman he ended up marrying, she didn't have the green eyes, the blonde hair, but she was more beautiful than anything he had ever thought. It was a beautiful song. Anyway,
I don't really know a lot of country and western. Now, don't get me wrong. I find those kind of women beautiful, but for some reason, I am just attracted, I guess you can say, and not even on the physical aspect, but more of an emotional aspect, or I want to learn about you aspect to a personality more than the physical aspect of it at all.
Well, their study said that it was not flowing blonde hair, abundant breasts, or long legs, but it was clear skin.
I'll take all of the above.
But he said 40,000 years ago, a cave woman with unsightly skin problems would have been seen as diseased, and she would have been banished from her tribe. And today, if your skin doesn't look good, you may feel as much of an outsider as well as our ancestors did. However, 40,000 years ago, our only purpose in life was to procreate. And life expectancy was 46 years.
Wow.
So they didn't worry about aging. They didn't have to.
No.
They weren't going to make it. But now we live double that life expectancy.
God willing.
Yes. So how fortunate are we to have been given all of those added years to our life? And for that reason alone, it is worth sticking to the new habits that can help us live the long, strong life we should be living. And think about it. If you were given a house for 100 years to use for your entire life, knowing you cannot get another one, wouldn't you take the best possible care of it?
Absolutely.
You know, wouldn't you make sure everything was well kept so it would last?
Absolutely.
Well, you have been given that house, your body. Now I ask you the $1 million question now.
Dun, dun.
With how you are taking care of your house, meaning your body, how long do you think it will last? So in regards to the house your family lives in, do you think you can do anything at all to improve the structure? You know, how about the insides? I laughed when I wrote this because if you don't take care of your home you live in properly, do you think putting a coat of paint on it will stop the deterioration if you don't scrape it clean first?
Or even get to the deep insides and fix that up before you throw that coat of paint on.
Right.
It's like a car. If your car's not running, will a coat of paint just make it run?
You know, or do you think throwing a tarp on the roof over a hole is going to help the house last the 100 years? You know?
I have some neighbors that would argue with you on that one. But
Yes, I see that as we are driving along. Yeah. Or wait, you know, how about redecorating, like you said, the insides for updating? Do you think these things will make it last?
no.
So now let's apply it to your body's house. Do you think putting a wig on your head will fix the reason you are losing your hair?
Is that another bald crack?
No, but I did think about that. And
He's going to take offense to this.
Well, so then I added, could it be from nutrition or bleaches or chemicals that you're using? You know, how about makeup? The old saying goes, you can only icing the cake so long. Will the makeup fix a sick body? Can you cosmetically cover the real issues? And, you know, how about surgery and those face-filling injections? No, they won't work because there still will be no youthful glow. And, you know, when you see some people that have really gone overboard to do all the plastic surgery and they might do part of their face or part of their body, and then it doesn't match up. I mean, you'd have to do the whole body because when we start to get older and it just doesn't, you've seen that, I'm sure. When some people, you know, they may get the breast implant and everything looks like a young body, but then you get to the face and you see the rest of the body just kind of like.
There's one woman I know who has done, you know, a lot of the plastic surgery, you know, and the injections and she looks okay. I mean, you could definitely tell she looks, you know, like walking plastic, but I noticed her hands.
Yes.
Her hands showed her real age.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow, why don't you do something about that too? You know?
Well, not that I am knocking what plastic surgery can do. So if any surgeons are listening, please don't be mad at that.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, we're definitely not taking shots.
We're talking about people going overboard and they don't know when to stop. And in fact, I saw that online one time. I think it was a Catwoman, was it? Or the one that wanted to look like a Barbie doll? And
yes.
She just kept doing.
Yes.
Oh, well, it was Barbie and Ken.
Yeah. Yeah, and she ended up looking very fake, like, and it goes back to what you were saying that you could get those injections, you can get the plastic surgery, you can get the implants, you can get all of that, but what are you doing about the skin? What are you doing about the out? Now that you've supposedly fixed the inside, even though you really haven't fixed it, you just threw on a coat of primer before the paint. Mm-hmm. You know, well, then what are you going to do? Just keep doing that over and over and over again until you can't do it anymore?
Right. When does it end?
Yeah. Well, why don't we take a quick break and then we'll move forward on that. Okay. You're listening to Make a Change with your host, Terry Martin. I am Tom Jenkins. And if you have any questions for Terry, you can always give her a shout at 866-646-3374. Check out our webpage, too, MedairyClinicals.com. And we'll be right back. Mederi Clinicals, a unique skincare company, has a complete skincare line for men and women. From anti-aging to glycolic and even a clinical line for sensitive skin, Mederi Clinicals is for you. Their number one product? Forgiveness. It's the secret to younger looking and younger acting skin. You can experience the transformation with fewer wrinkles, firmer skin, and a more youthful, radiant complexion. Treat aging, sun damage, rosacea, and more with Forgiveness. Plus, buy one bottle of Forgiveness, get one lip enhancing complex for free. Forgiveness. Apply it morning and night and keep forgiving and forgetting all through the day. Make a change with Mederi Clinicals. Balance, restore, look, and feel new. Mederi Clinicals, a complete skincare company for men and women. Call 866-646-3374 or check out MederiClinicals.com. MEDERI Clinicals.com.
Welcome back to Make a Change 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm Terry Martin, your host, and Tom Jenkins, my producer. Before the break, we were discussing taking care of your body and comparing it to a house. You know, the older I get, the more that I realize how important our structural core is. And recently I did say that I would do this exercise program. And
well, I was going to say, what do you mean by structural core?
Yeah, you know, mainly even our skeletal system.
Okay.
Just because I am getting older, I was starting to feel that I didn't have the strength and this weakness and the balance. And I just felt like, okay, I see all these things coming. And of course they do come with age, but you can slow that down, if not even stop that, because without exercise, we cannot stay strong, because if you don't use it, you will lose it. And many times, and I think I've said this in the other shows, you see that many older people, they lose their balance. But what I'm seeing is they're so afraid that they will fall that they're hanging on for dear life to everything that they can.
Yeah.
And then they're not using that balancing act that we have, that we were given. And then after a certain period of time, we no longer have that. And we do have to hang on to everything. So then just 1 minute that they let go and they fall and they break their hip. What I'm saying is if we could learn to work at being strong, then we wouldn't lose it.
I got you.
So that's where I'm at right now. And it's actually very empowering. I'm happy to see the changes. And I think I'm only about 45 days into this 90-day program. And I have said in the past, I'm just the laziest person that you could ever find. But, you know, when we were talking about our mind, Tom, when we were saying how if it isn't made up, you cannot do your habit. You have to have your mind truly made up or it won't work. And this is, after all these years in my life, it's just now hitting me in my mind that I have to do it.
Okay.
So even my husband says to me,
why do you think now, though? Why is it happening to you now? Why didn't it happen to you 15, 20 years ago?
I don't know. I think it was just because of the show, to tell you the truth. When I met Mario, who lost the 120 pounds,
right,
and I heard him at a young age, and I knew that it wasn't for weight that I was doing it, but I knew I had to do it for my strength, because if it is a possibility that we could live to even 100 years, what would I be like in 100 years? And that's what he said. What would he be like if he didn't make a decision to
see, on my end, the changes that I started making at this point in my life wasn't due to hearing somebody say something. It was due to me feeling it. Those little cues that we get, you know, something as simple as...
But I got them all along and it didn't help me. But tell me about you.
Yeah, well, you know, short of breath. I used to be a real heavy smoker. And I remember laying in bed just a couple years ago, not being able to breathe.
Ooh.
Just laying there. I wasn't doing anything, just laying there, and I couldn't breathe. Or I would walk from, you know, here, the studio here across the hall to the bathroom, and I'd be like, wow, you know, drinking a lot of water. You know, I don't like water. I need flavor. Until my body said, okay, you know what? You need some water. And then I'd get dehydrated, but I didn't know I was being dehydrated. And I'd get woozy or nauseous or Well, I haven't eaten all day. Why haven't I eaten? I'm not hungry. I'd go to eat, and it's like, no, I got to do something here. And so it was those little cues that my body was showing me and telling me, you got to stop doing this, and you got to start doing something new and start changing something, or where the show topic is exchanging a bad for a good.
Well, I also discovered that I don't have to be feared of, like what you said, your shortness of breath.
Mm-hmm.
I learned to take them from my cues, that it's something that I needed to do. Don't run to the doctor. I felt when I got dizzy or lightheaded. It was like, when's the last time you had a drink of water?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so excited for people to hear this message because I think it's full of hope. And Tom, I was thinking, what do you think of when you look at a person that has let themselves go? Do you think like they don't care?
Are you talking physically, mentally?
Well, you know what? You just look at a person and they look shattered. They look broken. I mean, my feeling is they've just given up. They've simply given up.
Yeah, I noticed that a lot with individuals, not on the physical aspect, because I guess I'm just ignorant on a lot of that, but I see a lot of it in the emotional, mental aspect, where just emotionally they've given up. Mm-hmm. And not even emotionally on the physical aspect, but emotionally just on attitude in life. And it's just like, oh man, I feel
I
the good. Show them, no, it's not too late. Don't do this. Mm-hmm. The grass isn't always greener somewhere else if you fertilize the grass that's under your feet right now. Mm-hmm. It's like, but.
Right. That's a good thing. I mean, even with plants, if they need fertilizer, they need everything to just grow. Well, so do we, and we can't forget it. We're just not born and put here to not take care of ourselves.
Right.
And the good news is we no longer have to wish we could replace a good habit with a bad one, because we can, and I'm anxious to.
Oh, I can't do that, Terry. No, I've been doing this way too long. I can't change now.
Well, then, by the end of the show, maybe you will be able to, because I'm anxious to go.
Can you smell the sarcasm?
Yes, I can. But that was me, too. And now, before I even say anything anymore, I have to step back. And even when someone's trying to give me an idea, in the past, I may have just like, oh, yeah, I've done that, I've tried that. And now I slow down, and I want to hear, if they're telling me something, did you try it? Did it work? I tell me more. So I want to be able to help people conquer any habit that they want to get rid of. And these words do not come cheap and easy. And right there is the biggest realization. Nothing happens overnight. And you do have to work, and work at it. And the work you have to do isn't so much the physical act, like you said earlier, such as the exercising, but the mental act that says, I can do this. I am going to do this, and I will do this. Not, I will try, because try means you lost already. Try?
As Yoda would say, there is no try, only do.
Very good, and that is true. And I was thinking of another example while I was riding in the car the other day and watching a school bus. And once again, this is one of my school stories, because I was remembering how I couldn't stand school. And the day I finally graduated, I said to myself, no more do I have to do what I am told to do by those teachers, such as assignments that have to be done and handed in by a set time, when I have to be in class, when I have to go to lunch, when I have to be on the bus, and when I get off. I no longer had to be accountable. The sweet smell of freedom.
And there you go again.
That freedom.
Lying to yourself.
Exactly.
Because that is life until you kick.
Exactly. I mean, it hit me like a brick. That freedom we all feel after years of someone else telling us what to do. That was the answer.
Yeah.
Once no one was telling me what to do step by step, I also was not telling me what to do step by step. And that was the beginning of what? Yeah, a real bad habit. No commitment. I loved it, but look at the habits it formed.
Yeah.
There isn't anything in life that doesn't run without being held accountable, not necessarily to a teacher or to a parent or a husband or a wife, but really, we have to hold ourselves accountable. And what an injustice I really was doing to myself.
I have some friends that, we kind of help each other in certain aspects of our lives. And one of the things is honesty. And I always tell them, I say, listen, I don't care if you lie to me. You do not have to be honest with me. I don't care if you lie to me. You lying to me is not going to affect my life at all in a negative way.
100% right.
It's going to affect yours, though. So when I ask you to be honest, I need you to be honest with yourself. Open your mind. Try to look at things from a different angle because of these, as you said, bad habits that we have built throughout our lives, doing these negative things, or not even negative, but just not positive things over and over and over again.
And we don't want it that way.
Well, of course
but
not.
There's a reason that it's happening.
And we've done it to ourselves. That accountability that you're talking about is also responsibility to ourselves. We need to stand up. I mean, I had to do this. I couldn't tell you how many years ago. I had to stand up and say, I screwed up.
I've done it many times.
Tom Jenkins' fault. I messed it up. I did this wrong. And then I had to put my tail between my legs and I had to go, I need help. Getting straight, getting forwards, getting fixed, whatever it is. And,
beginning again.
And that was the hardest part. Not admitting that the hardest part was saying, and I can't do this. Can I get some help, please? And then be willing to open my mind and be on the bus when they told me to be on the bus and do the assignments and hand them in at a certain time. And I needed to be held accountable by other people because one of my bad habits is that I'm not going to hold myself accountable. I'm not, but I need you to. And these friends of mine and I, we've given each other permission to hold each other accountable.
On that line of being held accountable, I was really even thinking about how many people want to be entrepreneurs. Many people would love to have a business and be on their own.
I want to be my own boss. Absolutely.
Oh, it has been hard because most of the time creating my own business, I found out what being accountable to myself is. And it's not like I always have been.
Right. And
you suffer when you don't. Because unless we're talking about entrepreneurs, unless they are instructed and in a setting that's like a school or a job that tells them what to do, then they just can't become an entrepreneur because it takes a steady commitment and they would fail just because of that alone. In other words, those habits.
Yeah. I've always said for me personally, I do not have the discipline enough. I personally, just for me, I do not have that discipline. I would not make a good entrepreneur. I would mess that up.
I can't say that I made a good one either because it was coffee break. So, oh yeah, you want to go for coffee? Yeah, let's have lunch. Like we're really getting something accomplished. I would take days off anytime that I wanted to because I worked for myself. Oh, well, guess what? You don't get a pay then.
Right.
And, could all of this be why we can't keep those resolutions? We are so used to only doing what we want, when we want.
How we want.
Exactly. And now we're having a hard time doing what we need to do.
There's a big difference there. Listen carefully to what Terry just said. We're acting what we want. We're not doing what we need. And there's a big difference between a want and a need. Big difference.
And I discovered that we might not know how to discipline ourselves. And now, could that have something to do with not being able to change those old habits? The bottom line I really like is this saying by Thomas Huxley. The most valuable result of all education is to make you do the thing you have to do when it ought to be done, whether you like it or not. It is the first lesson that ought to be learned, and however early a man's training begins, it is probably the last lesson that he learns thoroughly. How long can we keep kidding ourselves?
Let's answer that question when we come back. We'll take another quick break. You're listening to Make a Change with your host, Terry Martin. I am Tom Jenkins. And if you have any questions for Terry, feel free. Give her a shout, 866-646-3374. Check out the webpage, MaderiClinicals.com. And we will be right back with Make a Change on 94.3 FM, The Talker. Maderi Clinicals, a unique skincare company, has a complete skincare line for men and women. From anti-aging to glycolic and even a clinical line for sensitive skin, Maderi Clinicals is for you. Their number one product? Forgiveness. It's the secret to younger looking and younger acting skin. You can experience the transformation with fewer wrinkles, firmer skin, and a more youthful, radiant complexion. Treat aging, sun damage, rosacea, and more with Forgiveness. Plus, buy 1 bottle of Forgiveness, get 1 lip enhancing complex for free. Forgiveness. Apply it morning and night and keep forgiving and forgetting all through the day. Make a change with Mederi Clinicals. Balance, restore, look, and feel new. Mederi Clinicals, a complete skincare company for men and women. Call 866-646-3374 or check out MederiClinicals.com. MEDERI Clinicals.com.
Welcome back to Make a Change 94.3 FM, The Talker. I'm Terry Martin, your host, and Tom Jenkins, my producer. Before the break, we were talking about a saying by Thomas Huxley.
Based on the structure of life and entrepreneurship and self-discipline and self-accountability. And this, you have to read this quote again from Thomas Huxley. This is an awesome quote.
Okay. The most valuable result of all education is to make you do the thing you have to do when it ought to be done, whether you like it or not. It is the first lesson that ought to be learned, and however early a man's training begins, it is probably the last lesson that he learns thoroughly.
Perfect.
You know, we all have a burning desire to do something special, but do we have to wait until we are forced to come to terms with it? We can read all of the self-help books and listen to CDs and DVDs, all we want
and
to.
radio shows.
Oh, right. Wait, don't listen to that. But we're pushing you because we're saying, you know, until you get into action or we get into action, and stop saying, tomorrow we will begin. You know, sometimes that tomorrow never comes. And I don't mean death, but that could be.
Right.
I mean, we keep putting tomorrow. We never get off the nursing bottle, meaning every gimmick just keeps feeding us, but we never quit the feeding cycle to begin the journey. And we continue the very habits that can be ruining our precious families, jobs, dreams, and our lives. We're not doing this on purpose even. It just is, again, the habit. We're trained. We have ourselves trained. And I wondered this. Could this be why our society is in trouble? Are we a spoiled society? Because
that's yes, I'm going to say, in my opinion, that's all this is we are an extremely spoiled society. Instant gratification is desired, and not only desired, demanded. And I see that a lot, especially with a lot of the younger generations and the self-entitlement. I have a niece who's just about to turn 16. And the it's like the world owes this woman. And It's like, no.
Right.
I had an intern. This is a great story. I had an intern. He was a senior in college. He comes in, and I'm teaching him, you know, what I do. And he graduates college, and they hire him part-time. Well, within about 3 or 4 months, he is complaining that he's only part-time, that he deserves full-time. He's complaining that he's not getting these added perks or he's not getting a raise. And I looked at him, we'll call him Jeff to protect the innocent. And, you know, and I said, Jeff, what is it that you want? He goes, well, I come in here and I work 20 some hours a week and I want more money. I said, you're getting money. Well, I want these concert tickets. I said, why? Well, because I work 20 some hours a week. I said, and you get what you deserve for those 20 some hours. Well, I have a college education. So do I. Will you get concert tickets? No, I don't. You don't? Well, I saw you at the concert. I said, I bought those. Oh, you did? Yeah. Well, how about even just a lousy radio station T-shirt? And I looked at him. I said, can you take that T-shirt home and feed your family with it? Well, no, that's silly. I said, but can you take your paycheck home and feed your family with it? Not the paycheck I have. It's like,
wow,
what do you want? I want more, then work more. Well, I shouldn't have to. And I just like, I remember many days sitting with him outside of the radio station. This is when I worked at a different radio station. I remember days we would go for a walk in a park, or, you know, I'd meet up with him on the weekends, just because he was so miserable.
Well, I wonder where he is at today with that attitude.
That attitude got changed very quickly. They made him full-time after him humming and how, his well, the squeaky wheel get the oil. And I said, you got to be careful, man. I said, sometimes the squeaky wheel gets replaced. And they made him full-time. Within 6 months, he decided because now he's full-time, he can do what he wants to do because he's already got the full-time position now. And then within 6 more months, fired. Mm-hmm. Today, because of him making a change, I bumped into him just a couple months ago. He's actually working out of the area, but he is in a very high managerial position in a radio station. And he called me up the one day. He goes, why didn't you beat me when we were talking?
Oh.
Why didn't you hit me with... He goes, I have this part-timer. I said, karma's a bitch, isn't it, Jeff? Mm-hmm. But he had to make that change, and he had to get rid of that self-entitlement. So to answer your question after my 4-minute rant, I believe we are a spoiled society.
Well, I think we are, but my other question is it true that many people do not want to function properly, or is the truth that they can't because they don't know how to anymore?
And that's the key. They don't know how. And that was the thing with Jeff, is that he didn't know how. No matter how much I explained to him, he still had his way, his thing, the way he wanted to do it instead of the way he needed to do it.
No, and I say, so remember, it is never too late to change. We need to get excited about the only thing in life we can control, and that is ourselves. This is a tremendous awakening to me. Many people think our DNA controls who we are and what we do. Statistics say there is an 80-20 rule.
An 80-20 rule.
Yeah. And I tell you, I laughed when I heard this because this is what they're saying about you changing your body or not changing your body or what you're going to look like in the future. And you've heard this. If a man wanted to see what his future wife will look like, then he should look at her mother. Well, I say, if you want to look at what your future husband might look like, then look at his father. I mean, I never heard anyone say that once about looking at the man. I mean, how come it's always the woman? But I say, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. And I question the DNA in all situations. But anyway, I want to get back to explaining that 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
It means we do have a control over our bodies and life choices. Almost nothing in our physical appearance just happens without our consent. And to keep using that as an excuse is lying to yourself. In other words, 20% you cannot change, but 80% you can. So no more cop-outs. If there's a family history of anything, whether it is weight or any disease, when you heard it said, my mother or my father and all of their family had this or that, therefore I can expect in a few years I will be the same way.
So what's the point?
Okay. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Just lay down and die. I mean, don't try to change the course of being overweight or having diabetes or whatever is lingering in the family's history.
I have a goal for my life.
Yeah, what is it?
Because of that right there.
Yes.
My dad died when he was 56 years old.
Ooh.
And, he led a pretty crazy life. I want to live to be at least 57.
Oh.
So because of the history, I want to outlive my dad. So,
I say, man, you can make a change. You can look better and you can feel better tomorrow with changes you make today. So, stop telling yourself the lies that it's out of your control and you can't do anything about it.
But
you can.
Remember, though, it's not an overnight matter. You start today and continue.
Well, you can do this, and you may not want to do what it takes. And so that sounds like a good excuse to say, well, it's in my DNA, it's in my family. But scientists have proven that this is true, that you can change all but the 20%. I mean, you might not be able, I was going to say you can't change the nose on your face, but you can. Anyway, but you've seen families where one person isn't anything like the rest. And why is that? Because they chose not to be. You need to be active and participate with yourself. There are all kinds of help out there, but you must decide first that you have to help yourself first, or there's nothing and no one that can help you.
And that goes back to what you were saying earlier on in the show, whereas you have to have that 100% mindset. If you have any lurking notion or any reservation, then you're not going to move forward. You're not going to take that important step, the start step, the beginning step, to even say, yeah, Yeah, I would like, I need help, yes.
You know, you might ask why I'm qualified, or I feel I'm qualified to give this advice. And my answer to that is because of years of experience in my life. And this includes being a mother of 5 children, and most of the time being a single parent while raising them and trying to work to support them and trying to live my life without even having had a good financial support system. But one thing I did have, and that was many dreams, and they kept me going. One of which was my own skincare company that I would own one day, and that company is now 20 years old. From then to finding a way to write a book to help others so they could possibly not have to go through some of the issues that I've had to suffer through. This was a deep, burning desire for me to write and to share my knowledge and just show how simple it is to make little changes that add up to big improvements. And of course, that's over time. But today I want to tell you my new book is available, and it's called Beyond Makeup. This book is mainly for women, and my next book will be both for men and women. However, men, this would be a great inspirational guide for the woman in your life, from the teenagers to your grandmother. And men, I would like to add, if you get this book for your loved one or for a friend, although I do say that it isn't exactly for a man, in the long run, it will be, because you will see your loved one bloom into their very own beautiful uniqueness, and they will be much happier. But many people just don't know where to start. And if anyone only chooses to change a few things they read about in my book, then it was worth it. And the book consists of page after page of information on how to break every aspect of your life down. And that is why I named the book Beyond Makeup. You can chart your features and desires step by step. This is inexpensive and a simple form of figuring out your own personal profile. In fact, when you discover what is correct for you, and I'm sure you will have a total renewal, which will include cleaning out your closets and your drunk drawers.
Your drunk drawers. Your drunk drawers. Well, Freudian there.
I assure you, life will run smoother when you know the answers to who, what, when, where, and why you need to make a change.
How would we go about getting this book?
You can call MederiClinicals.com. You can go online.
Or call 866-646-3374.
Can you imagine getting ready without changing your outfit several times because nothing seems to look like it goes together? Or with makeup application that just doesn't look right? You know, this isn't in your mind. Somewhere down inside, you know it doesn't look or feel right. And there actually is a science to all of this. And it's very easy to follow. Not only will someone find their best features, but they will look and feel fantastic. You know, I feel this book is made, simply put, to turn anyone and everyone's life totally around. If you or someone you know would like to make a change, or many changes, because you or they find that life is just passing them by and you're not where you want to be, then this guide and the kit that comes along with it is full of the secrets that only you can discover for yourself. I wrote this book to save people time by not only doing on a daily basis what you need to do,
but by doing it without all of that mess and that chaos and...
Yes, without having all the clutter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying this will end up even changing your home. It just will make everything run much smoother.
Not just on the outside.
Absolutely.
Why don't we take one more quick break? When we come back, we'll talk more about your new book, how you can get a copy of it, and also more about exchanging habits. Exchanging a bad habit for a good habit. And
yes, because this book tells you how to do that.
You are listening to Make a Change on 94.3 FM The Talker with your host, Terry Martin. I am Tom Jenkins. And give Terry a call, 866-646-3374, or check out MederiClinicals.com. We will be right back. Mederi Clinicals, a unique skincare company, has a complete skincare line for men and women. From anti-aging to glycolic and even a clinical line for sensitive skin, Mederi Clinicals is for you. Their number one product? Forgiveness. It's the secret to younger looking and younger acting skin. You can experience the transformation with fewer wrinkles, firmer skin, and a more youthful, radiant complexion. Treat aging, sun damage, rosacea, and more with Forgiveness. Plus, buy 1 bottle of Forgiveness, get 1 lip enhancing complex for free. Forgiveness. Apply it morning and night and keep forgiving and forgetting all through the day. Make a change with Mederi Clinicals. Balance, restore, look, and feel new. Mederi Clinicals, a complete skincare company for men and women. Call 866-646-3374 or check out MederiClinicals.com. MEDERI Clinicals.com.
Welcome back to Make a Change on 94.3 FM, The Talker. I'm Terry Martin, your host, and Tom Jenkins, my producer.
Last segment we were talking about your brand new book. What's it called again?
It's called Beyond Makeup, and that is because makeup is really the furthest thing that this book is really going to do to help you exchange those habits. It's going to help teach you, and there's so many things to say that we could never say at all in this one show. So back to what we were discussing on the book, and it will actually help you save money from not spending on things you don't need, because you will only spend on what makes you look and feel the best. I wanted everyone, wealthy or not wealthy, to be able to afford this book and to find out their unique qualities in the privacy of their own home. Because everyone has something they don't like about themselves. It could be a large nose or a high forehead, or they're overweight. Now, for once, you can figure out on your own. You can change everything that you want to change, and maybe you don't want to go to a stranger for help and to have to tell her or him all of your faults.
And
this is
there's a
private.
lot of us with a lot of pride that we just don't want to do that.
And that's why I felt this would be a good book to write, because I didn't see one anywhere on the market like it. And that's why I said, okay, I'm going to write it.
And it's called Beyond Makeup.
Right.
And you can get it by calling Terry at 866-646-3374. Can you order it on your webpage,
Yes, you can.
MederiClinicals.com? Okay.
But I want people to be able to make this be an enjoyable experience. So they get to know themselves, like I say, get to know yourself. And this book is a good reference that you can always go back to, and you can monitor your improvements. Now, I would like to go to the information anyone can use. By that, I mean man or woman. If you have skin, then this concerns you.
If you don't have skin, get to the hospital now.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the 3 layers of skin. And this is important. The first is the epidermis, the top layer, the barrier layer. And mainly, it holds moisture and stops the entry of germs and most chemicals from entering the body. It takes 28 to 30 days for the epidermis to renew itself while in our youth. But by the time we're in our 40s, it takes 50 plus days to renew. So, when we don't slough off all the dead skin fast enough from exfoliating, then our skin looks dull and lifeless. And dead cells are all over the place, and our pores actually get larger with age. But they don't have to. And this is why men, as well as women, need to use products to exfoliate those dead skin cells. And I have to say, Mederi is to the rescue there.
Dun, 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 dun.
But truly, the faster you can shed them, the newer and fresher your skin will look. Get this. Our epidermis sheds 1 million dead cells every 40 minutes. Now that adds up to 1.5 pounds a year of dead skin cells floating all over. And by the time you reach 70 years of age, you would have lost 105 pounds
of dead skin.
So that means in one lifetime, we are creating more than 1,000 brand new skins. So how can you think you're ever too old to begin again? Never, never say never, because snakes shed their entire skin once a year. But we as humans do it on a continual basis. And think of that when you're dusting. Dead skin is all over.
That I can't remember where I heard that or read that, but that's what dust mostly is dead skin.
Yep, I think I'll be vacuuming and dusting a lot more often in my home, and I know my husband will be very happy about that. But in speaking about my book, Beyond Makeup, I'm not referring to anyone having perfect facial features or even trying to achieve perfection. In fact, I'm not talking about perfect nothing.
It's impossible to
Right.
be completely one. There's no such thing as the perfect human being.
Right. But people do not realize how unique they are. And so I'm saying I want them to see what is being uniquely you and what is perfect for you only by the best that you can find for yourself, for inside and out, because we've all been given this wonderful body.
Your house.
Your house. And statistics show, whether you're a teen or very high in age, the desire to be desirable never goes away. And no matter what the requirements are to look good, we all still are the same. Mm-hmm. We all care. So what does that have to do with the name of this show, Exchanging Habits? Because it does take an effort to look and feel good. You must change bad for good. It isn't hard to do, but it is the habitual taking care of our one and only God-given vessel, our body, that transports us everywhere we go and wherever we want to go. We can never quit striving for a healthy body because we don't want to send out the signal that says we're finished to anyone else, let alone ourselves. Although trying to attract a mate may not be the season in life that you're in, that isn't the only reason you need to care how you look. You need to do that for yourself, because we just somehow emotionally feel better when we look better. You know, my mother every day, she won't like me to say her age, but she's okay with it because for 81, she looks fantastic. Mm-hmm. But every day she wakes up, she puts her makeup on, and she's ready for the day. And myself, that's a habit I need to change, because if anyone came to the door, you know, most of the time, it's just a habit I need to get into doing. And I would feel better to even start my work day. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm not saying for people to be artificial by trying to be something they're not, but to learn who they are.
And use what they are.
Absolutely. Because even if someone has acne, it can emotionally scar some people for life through their confidence level alone. There are many answers to help ongoing acne today. You know, or if you're left with old scars and they're really bothering you, there are answers that can get rid of them. You know, earlier I said there are 3 important layers of skin, and the next is the dermis. This is where we get collagen and elastin. That middle layer gives us strength and fullness, and elastin gives us just what it sounds like, stretch and elasticity. But they both break down over time with age, mainly age, and it appears we bruise in more easily, and it takes us longer to heal. But the healthier we are, the quicker we still can heal. You know, pores get larger because I'm sure you've noticed that on older people. And unfortunately, our smooth skin gets wrinkled and loose. But we do have many products that can address dead skin, and it will shrink the pores. Sounds like fun, huh? But third, in the subcutaneous layer, and this consists of fat cells and hair follicles, this gives us the firm cushion and softness. We can't be consumed with skinny because we can use a little fat in the right places. But this is where some people choose injections to plump up certain areas. But this just doesn't help the youthful glow.
Yeah, you're plump, but you're still not. I'm thinking of another term other than glow. You know, you're not fully, efficiently, visually. I don't know. I left my thesaurus at home today.
Well, I don't think there's anything more beautiful than a woman aged that she still has that little girl look on her face, that youthful, and it is. I have seen older women and men. Mm-hmm. I don't know if some are just gifted that they make it that way. I don't think so, but maybe 20% of that DNA, I don't know, stayed on their face and not the rest of the body.
Stayed on their face. You got a little DNA on your face there.
Well, I know our show is about ready to wrap up for this week, but until we meet again, why not think about one habit this week that you can exchange for another, one that is more beneficial and will help you to reach that 100-year mark.
And it could be something as simple as, let's see, one bad habit that a lot of Americans, how about drinking soda? Just stop drinking soda and substitute. Exchange soda for water. And I'll tell you, you can put some lemon and some sugar in the water, and now you've got a delicious lemonade. You know, there's a lot of little things that you can do to start that change. But I would strongly recommend giving Terry a call at 866-646-3374 or go to MederiClinicals.com. Check out this new book, Beyond Makeup. And what she discusses in this book is all about, in the beginning, taking those first steps to get your mindset to make the changes you want to make, however minute or major these changes may be. Chart things, and of course, if you're as prideful as I am, and you don't want to put your tail between your legs and say, "Hey, I need help," the book will help you
realize something you may never have thought about in your life about yourself.
And one of those things that you might not have realized, especially with individuals who are overweight, and we were talking a little bit about this during the break, with food. Why don't you explain what you just explained to me during the break?
When I was writing the book, I wanted to help people change in every way possible. And so we did discuss water, we talked about exercise, but weight we talked about somewhat, even on our other shows, because it's an epidemic. And I didn't understand until recently, when I've talked to many people that are severely overweight, they tell me they don't eat an awful lot. They don't eat any more than I do. And now it's starting to click in my head to say, wait a minute. I believe that they're not eating that much to cause them to have that kind of weight. What is going on here?
And what's happening in their minds is they go, well, I'm not eating a lot. I'm portions and look at me, I'm still overweight.
But it's what they're eating.
But they start beating themselves up and hitting themselves. Well, I guess it's in my DNA, or I guess that's just the way it is, or I have a whatever thyroid problem, or whatever the case is. But you're absolutely right. It's not how much they're eating. It's what they're eating.
Right. So exchange that habit.
There's a new habit to change.
And the habit could be this. We are so gullible to just believe that everything out there in the grocery store is for the good of us. So, it's not anyone's fault. Many people, I don't believe it's their fault now. In the past, yes, I used to think that it was. But now I really do believe if they would just eat the food that their body knows how to digest, which is just real fruits and vegetables. And right now, with summer coming on at this time of the year, there's an awful lot available. There will be an awful lot available.
Absolutely.
To just enjoy those delicious, nutritious meals. And in fact, they'll get so totally full and feel so much better. They'll say, I can lose this weight. And it's much easier than I thought. And when we say choices, does that mean you can never have an ice cream? No, you can have an ice cream. There's even delicious ice cream in the health food section, and it tastes really creamy. It's not with all the emulsifiers. It's purely ice cream.
Yeah.
And so you don't need as much because you're full on that. Throw a few strawberries in that, and these are things that will make you lose weight. You don't have to starve, because I'm talking again to many people who are actually starving and trying to lose. And so then they just go to the store and get maybe some of these, I can't say, but some of these meals that they just, throw in the microwave, and they say, oh, but they're healthy and they're proportioned and they're everything. No, there's nothing nutritious in there, and your body is going to keep saying to you, screaming and crying, please give me something good to eat. And it will do for you what it needs to do when you just give it what it needs to be able to do it.
I'll share my experience with you. For the past, year and a half, maybe 2 years, I made a decision to start eating healthier and eat as organic as possible. And it's kind of difficult in the wintertime, because organic selections get a lot smaller, but I still do it to the best I can. Grass-fed beef, that's what I'll eat, pure 100% grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, I go to a farm by my house.
Oh, I want to know who that farmer is.
And it's a big farm, and I go there, and they have a shop and everything, and I go in there and I get literally, I've watched them carry the eggs from the hen house. I'm walking with them saying,
delicious.
Give me a dozen
delicious.
of those, stop drinking soda, stop with all of the super sweet fruit juices, and stuck with the water. And just in the past 2 years, not only have I lost close to 10-15 pounds, but I've got energy. I can think clearer.
You have beautiful skin, by the way.
Well, thank you.
I know you're not supposed to say that to a man, but Tom, your skin is
thank
excellent.
you. Other than the poison ivy all over me right now. So that was one of the small habits that I needed to quit smoking. So I did those things as well. And just the slight energy level. And by seeing those results now, I know that I can make other changes as well if necessary. So if you took anything away from the show today, it's exchange a bad habit for a good habit. Stick with the good habit to the best of your ability, and then that word habit won't be such a bad word when you start to see the results. And thank you.
Just one at a time.
That's it. Thank you so much for listening, Terry. Thank you for this great information today. If you want to get a copy of Terry's new book, give her a shout, 866-646-3374. Check out all of her products. Plus, you can get a copy of the book at MederiClinicals.com. This is Make a Change. I'm Tom Jenkins. That's Terry Martin. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you.